talking about today's budget, an inclusive budget, focusing on areas like inclusive development, focusing on women, poor, farmers, marginalized. How do you see today's budget?
No, absolutely. As you rightly said, it's a very inclusive budget and virtually touches every section of society, with, of course, focus on the middle class. And it's been very thoughtfully, very sensitively drafted. And is also a reflection of Prime Minister Modi's futuristic vision. Of course, the tax rebates and the tax exemptions is something which is very popularly being described, and rightly so, very popularly discussed also. But I think there are some other aspects which will gradually percolate down and become a subject of discussion, a wider discussion. And they are going to actually catch the global attention. Like, for example, relation to the nuclear energy mission. Now, this is a kind of a provision or an announcement which could have come only from a government headed by someone like Prime Minister Modi, because he has the capacity to take path breaking decisions, to break the taboos of the past, to take out of box decisions, like he did about 5 years back in case of space reform. So this is virtually going to be in the same direction. So for the first time, the Atomic Energy Act is planned to be amended in order to involve the private sector. That's a huge departure from the policy that the successive governments over the last half a century or so followed. You know, in the belief that atomic energy or the nuclear energy was the department which was essentially meant to function behind a wheel of confidentiality. But given a global scenario, and India envisaging for itself a global role, we have to go by the global strategies, global parameters. Therein is this decision. Then you have also set in the same budget target of producing 100 gigawatt of nuclear energy or nuclear power by 2047. That again is a huge message across the globe. But look here, India is now no longer a follower. It can give cues, it can give leads. It's now in a position to lay down targets, unlike what it was earlier. And also, it's going to raise India's esteem, because in matters like nuclear energy, like climate, like green energy, we were not taken very seriously. The world thought that these were beyond our comprehension or our capacity. But now, I mean, we have come of age. So I think simultaneously, the same single announcement is going to address the economy. Of course, it's going to lead you to 2047, it's going to be a big stride. It is going to add to your green energy potentials, and it's also going to raise your esteem in the world and give you a wider global role. And similarly, as I said, futuristic. You have duty exemption on cobalt, on lithium scrap. So all these things are in that direction where the world is moving on, while at the same time not losing sight of the traditional ethos. Like, for example, you will have a digital repository of traditional Indian knowledge. So this is something that Prime Minister Modi has been emphasizing time in and time out repeatedly. He's been reiterating that we have to carry virasat along with vikas. So and that is our advantage, our exclusive asset compared to any other country in the West. So we have the ethos in place, and then we are trying to preserve them through digital means. So preserving tradition through digital means, that itself gives you, a kind of an amalgam which is very inspiring. That national geospatial policy is again something related to science and technology. It's going to make a huge difference in our methodologies of mapping lands, farms, and also the citizen centricity that Prime Minister keeps emphasizing in governance. The citizen will become the master of his own destiny. He can use drones, he can use space satellites to map out his field, his land, doesn't have to depend on a patwari or a revenue officer. So, simultaneously, ease of business, ease of living, ease of governance, optimum use of technology, and moving towards the global targets and laying down targets in the global concerns. So, I think everything has been simultaneously addressed.
Also, sir, a huge thrust to the nuclear mission of India. What kind of impact do you see? And since we're talking about sustainable development, we're talking about non conventional sources of energy. What does it mean for the common consumer of India?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned a few moments back, the nuclear energy mission itself is going to be a huge message for the rest of the world, and something which could have happened only from Prime Minister Modi, because that's exactly what he did when he was when he decided to unlock the space sector. So it's virtually unlocking the nuclear sector, while at the same time being very mindful of the Indian concern. And as far as the solar and other part that you are mentioning, there is also, if you remember in the budget, there was a mention of green tech manufacturing, which would involve solar, which would involve like e-batteries, lithium batteries, and also the nuclear energy. Because if we are moving in that direction, we have to increase our share of green source energies, which is not so right now. We largely have thermal energy and then the hydro like that. But now the world is also begun to acknowledge that we are moving in that direction. And of course, you have 20,000 crore earmarked for SMR, small modular reactors. That's again a huge announcement, and we have an advantage which is not very often realized because it's a little technical. We already have small reactors in India, a number of them, which can be converted into modular reactors. Unlike in the West, they usually have the larger reactors, so they don't fit into the criteria, the classification of the small reactor. So I think it'll be easier for us to move over to that new generation small reactors.
Point well taken, sir. And before we wrap up, there's focus on innovation, there's focus on artificial intelligence, creating center of excellence. There's also focus on deep tech startups.
Absolutely, deep tech startups, and combined with 10,000 scholarships uh, for research through IITs, etc. Is also, this is going to form an ecosystem, a very beautiful and a very optimum ecosystem. And then the National Research Foundation already in place, about which the announcement was made in the vote of accounts, which was also part of the earlier part of this, where the finance minister announced 50,000 crore, and then about 60-70% of the resource will be non-government. So all this will form an ecosystem. The education institutions, the National Research Foundation, the science institutions, the private sector coming in a big way is going to make a huge difference. And then also ease of undertaking these fellowships in research, ease of research rather, I would say, which would also lead to sustainable startups. Because easy to start a startup, but not that easy to sustain a startup. So all this will form a very beautiful and a congenial ecosystem.